Hello, and sorry to have been gone so long. I should have called it the Dawn of Voice almost weekly or something. Anyway, I will try to be better. I got involved in a project, and after 4 days of 14-hour days, I needed to recuperate, and now I'm back. And a lot has happened, and there is so much to talk about, but there are only so many hours in the day, and I know you don't want to spend a whole whack of them watching me. So I'm going to try not to take up too much of your time now. If I'm being honest, I'm going to tell you that I just spent, 20 minutes recording a video for you, and then realized that I didn't actually have my microphone turned on. It was thinking that I was in my recording studio using my microphone there, and so I had this beautiful piece of work which had no audio, and I wasn't about to try to lip sync to match. So here we go again, and I'll probably be much more succinct this time through. Okay, so a number of things to talk about, but I'm just going to focus on one or two. I'm not going to swear to one because, I wander. But today I went out for the first time in a week. I went out last Friday to donate blood for my regularly scheduled appointment. Oh, see, I'm Canadian. I didn't say scheduled. I said scheduled. I love that word. Not allowed to say it in audiobooks. Coming from the United States, must say scheduled. But scheduled is just so much better. Anyway, I was gone for my regularly scheduled appointment, and things are a little bit different there. It wasn't nearly so crowded as it usually is, and it didn't take so long to get done. Of course, they're practicing physical distancing and being very careful about making sure they're protecting their workers and protecting us, cleaning everything. When you go in to give blood, they always give you this little laminated legal size sheet of paper with information on both sides about the process and who can give and who can't, and if you're feeling sick, what should you do, blah, blah, blah. That they always make you read, even if nothing changes for 14 years, you still have to read it. So that's changed because they don't want to have to worry about washing them and handing them between people. So now they've photocopied it, although they photocopied it from legal size to letter size, and it's pretty tiny for people to read. So if you want to fix that, please, blood donation people, that would be great. But anyway, so it's a photocopied piece of paper. You read it and you throw it away, so nobody has to touch it or wash it or anything. So that's good. So that was the only time I've been out in a couple of weeks, but today it really was time to go get groceries. And so I went to do that. And it was kind of interesting because now the CDC is talking about maybe we should be wearing masks, not to prevent us from getting the virus, but to help us to not spread it. Or we're not spitting things and air and stuff at people if we wear masks. So I didn't wear a mask today, although I have some. I don't know, the great orange one keeps saying no one could have seen this coming. But I ordered masks in January, so I don't get daily briefings. I don't know. I think people saw it coming. Oh yeah, then there was all those disaster virus pandemic exercises that the government had been doing that, anyway, we could know. So I didn't wear a mask, and it was interesting because I hadn't seen people wearing masks here before when I've been out. And I'm going to say maybe 10 to 15% of the people are starting to wear them. I'm sure within the next few days, it's going to come down pretty solidly that, yeah, it would probably be best if we wore them when we were out so we don't spread the virus. But today, not too many people, but some, first time ever. When I went to the grocery store, they're only allowing 50 people in the store at a time. So there's actually a lineup outside the door. And there are people who work at the store just inside the doors. When someone leaves, then they let someone else in. So that was new. People are being very, very considerate and concerned about that, keeping that physical distancing of 6 feet or 2 meters between people. Of course, all the cashiers now have glass dividers between them and the customers. If you bring your own bags, you have to bag them yourself so they don't want to touch them. The pharmacists are behind walls now, so that's all quite different. But in addition, grocery shopping is always a takes forever. By the time you drive there, you buy the stuff, you pay the stuff, you put it in your car, you drive it home, you put it all away. It's a good couple hours. Well, just add another half hour, 45 minutes to that. If you have the time, that's great. If you don't have the time, you better make the time, because the virus can live for up to 24 hours on cardboard and for up to 3 days on plastic. And sorry, everything's dinging again. And so you have to wash everything. I'm going to have a link down below to a video from Sanjay Gupta, I believe is his name, from CNN, who takes you through the how to wash your groceries and what you need to do to protect yourself in that way. I had thought, gee, I could take all my frozen stuff and just put it on the deck and leave it sit out there for a couple of days, and then the virus will be dead, and then I can just bring it in and put it away without washing it. However, I thought, well, I'm just going to Google that, and it turns out that other viruses in this coronavirus family have been found to live for a couple of years in the freezer. So I guess that's not a really great plan. I'm going to have to bring it all in and wash it and then put it away appropriately. But it can stay there for today because for some reason my city still thinks it's winter and it's cold and it's ridiculous. But anyway, it would be nice to be able to work on the deck, but I guess we got to wait a little bit longer here still. So there's that. And then, okay, so then the other thing that I want to talk about just briefly is that, back in the initial video, number one, I think probably, I said, I just want to get the virus. I just want to get it, get over it, and move on. And then I will be immunized against it, and I can go out and I can do whatever and be around whoever and not worry about infecting people and get on with my life, because I'm pretty confident that I'm not going to be one of the ones who dies, because I have a really great immune system. I don't have any pre-existing conditions, and I'm just barely in the age group where the risk starts to go up a little bit, so I'm not concerned. If you watch CNN, you probably know Chris Cuomo. You may know of him anyway because his brother is the Cuomo, that's the governor of New York, and he's on TV all the time, so you may have known him. But anyway, Chris Cuomo is a reporter, news guy, whatever, has a news show on CNN, I guess at 9 o'clock every night. And he got the virus. He's been living in his basement. He lives with his wife and his kids. They currently don't have the virus, but he's in the basement and he's had the virus, and I think he's had it for 4 days now. But he's continuing to do his show, and he's continuing to report on what it's like to have the virus. So just quickly, I know initially they were saying, oh, the virus is not that bad unless you are old or you have underlying conditions, and then it can kill you, but otherwise it's not that big a deal. And many people don't even get symptoms, which is absolutely true. Many people don't get any symptoms. Something like 25% of people don't have any symptoms, which is another reason we should be wearing the masks, because we could be spraying that stuff all over everybody and we don't even know we have it. So, we need to wear the masks for that reason. But additionally, you can have it for 2 days before you show any symptoms. And again, you don't know you've got it, you're going to spread it. But for people who do get symptoms, I think it's something like 8% end up having to be hospitalized. And yes, the numbers are higher if you're over 60, even higher over 70, and really high over 80. But they're not non-existent below that either. And I think it's something like 30 to 40% of all hospitalized patients are under, yes, it's 40% of hospitalized patients are under 60. And the death rate, it's kind of a floating number. Some of the really high death rates that we've been seeing are because they don't have the medical ability to look after them. We know that the people who are worst affected need to be on a breathing tube, a ventilator. If you don't have enough ventilators and you need one, you're dead. So where we don't have good medical facilities, the numbers are really high. But where there are enough facilities just to go around and treat people, it's looking like maybe 1% die. And probably, 70% of those 1% are going to be over 70, over 80. But 30% aren't. And the United States has just today reported a 7-week-old baby who died. There's been another baby who was under 1 who died. 40-year-old people with no underlying conditions, very healthy, get the virus and die. So yeah, your odds are better if you aren't older, you don't have underlying conditions, but nobody's getting a pass necessarily. So you need to take this seriously, and you really need to make sure you're protecting other people. But it's interesting to watch Chris Cuomo, who is 40 something probably, and maybe he's a little old, maybe he looks good for his age, but he's not old, and he has no underlying conditions, and he is really suffering through this. He says it's unlike anything he's ever had. Many people get high fever for day after day after day after day. He'd lost almost, I think he said 13 pounds in 3 days, even though he was eating a lot. It wasn't like he didn't have an appetite. He's been eating a lot, still losing weight like crazy. You get things called rigors. When you can get things called rigors when you have fever, which is apparently just really, really that trembling you get from a fever and you're shaking. Well, it was so bad he broke a tooth from the clenched jaw. So I think watching him and listening to him, what he tells you about the virus and the effects. Now, hopefully he doesn't end up in the hospital. It doesn't get that bad for his sake and for ours, because if he ends up in the hospital, who knows? He'd probably keep filming anyway, because that's who he is. But anyway, I think it's interesting and good to watch, to understand. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter whether or not you have underlying conditions. You could get hit by this thing, and it ain't pleasant, even if it doesn't kill you. And you want to make sure you prevent other people from getting it. So do everything that you can to protect them, and then you will be protected in return. Which leads me to other conversations that I don't want to talk about today, but I will talk about it probably tomorrow or the next day. But the bottom line is, treat others the way you would like to be treated. And that's going to apply across all kinds of different situations and conditions here, including sharing the goods and services that are required by our front-line workers who are trying to keep us healthy and safe. And so we need to protect them, and we need to thank them. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being there. My son in the front lines at Safeway, thank you. Put on your mask and your gloves. Don't spread it and don't get it. And I know you can't necessarily stop getting it, but please, I'm just asking you, okay? Just don't. Okay. That's all I have to say today, I think. I'll come back tomorrow and the next day and the next day, I hope. But it's almost daily. The Donna Voice, almost daily. Cut me some slack. Okay. So, that's all I have to say today. So remember, stay home, stay safe, wash your hands, don't touch your face, and don't touch anybody else's face either. Oh, and put on those gloves and a mask if you go out. Bye. Have a great weekend.